Pardon me for being late. We were working another matter earlier tonight. You ready? Terrific. The hour being 7:08 p.m. on Monday, April 14th, 2025. I'd like to call to order the City of Laconia City Council meeting. Before we go any further, I'd ask that you rise and join Councilor Haynes in the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, and to the republic of which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you, Councilor Haynes.
Thank you,
I'd ask
Mayor.
the clerk to please call the roll.
Councilor Cheney,
Here.
Councilor Susie,
Here.
Councilor Hoffman,
Present.
Councilor Haynes,
Here.
Councilor Bogart,
Here.
Councilor Felch,
Here.
Mayor Hosmer.
Here. I see a number of people with us this evening. In anticipation of that, we're going to move some of the items out of order on your agenda. I'll do a couple of, just a couple of brief matters here to get them out of the way. The first is agenda item number 7A, minutes of the Laconia City Council meeting of March 24th, 2025, were distributed to members of the City Council on March 31st with no corrections or changes. Submitted to the clerk, the minutes will be accepted as distributed. I would like to move in our agenda right now, agenda item number 19, which is citizens' request to comment on current agenda items, since we have a rather large crowd here, and we have a number of matters to take on later. I would like to call that agenda item right now, and if anybody would like to speak to anything that's on tonight's current agenda, I would encourage you now to come forward and speak. Welcome, Anthony. Also to you, Carlos. Good to see you.
Good afternoon, good evening. Hola, usa casacavo. My name is Carlos Cardona. I have lived in the Lakes region for over 20 years. I was born in what you may know as the island of Puerto Rico. I hail from the tribe of Higuayagua. I'm also an appointed member by former Governor Chris Sununu to the New Hampshire Commission on Native American Affairs as a tribal member of the Higuayagua Taino community. Some of you may know me from the community, from my involvements. I've served as an AmeriCorps for 3 years in the city of Laconia. I've worked in our schools. I currently hold a master's degree from UNH in psychology. I am raising 2 kids. I live on Old North Main Street in Laconia. Some of you know my house from being the house with all the Christmas lights. But most importantly, I am appalled by the fact that this city council is willing to really put to shame our community by allowing such a resolution that would bring a disgrace to our community. So I wrote a few words. As a Latino, this is something that is very important to me as a taxpayer, as a US citizen, as a person that my family has served in World War II. It is something that I find is incredibly disrespectful. Members of the council, neighbors, fellow residents of Laconia, I rise today not in opposition to law and order, but in defense of the values that truly make our community strong: compassion, trust, and justice. This resolution calling for formal cooperation with U.S. Immigration Custom Enforcement, known as ICE, through the 287G program is not just a policy change, it's a step towards fear, division, and a breakdown in trust between our local law enforcement and the immigrant members of our community. Laconia is home to many people of diverse backgrounds. Some are immigrants, and some have come here from different parts of the world. It might be Europe, it might be Latin America. And trusting local police and federal immigration enforcement's responsibilities place an unfair burden on our officers discourages immigrants from reporting crimes, seeking help, and cooperating in investigations. This makes every one of us less safe. Moreover, 287 program has been fought with misuse and allegations of racial profiling across the country. Do you know that the state of New Jersey currently has a bunch of lawsuits because the local police enforcement there have been accused of profiling, leading to the arrest of 7 Puerto Ricans who are born U.S. citizens because they were profiled because they spoke Spanish, because they had a different culture, because they looked different. Does that sound familiar? Moreover, this program, instead of turning our city into an outpost for federal immigration crackdowns, we should focus on building a community where all residents feel safe and valued. I urge the City Council to reconsider this resolution, not out of defiance of the law, but out of deeper respect for humanity and for every person in Laconia. Let us lead with wisdom and compassion, and remember that you have Latino citizens in this city that pay taxes, that are abiding by the law, who are U.S. citizens, that this resolution would affect and would essentially put them in harm's way. Especially, I want to call attention to the 9-year-old girl that died this past winter at the hands of ICE. So remember that your resolution and what you're promoting could have consequences on myself and my children. Thank you.
Just a quick, just a clarification there, just for everyone. The council is not promoting this. It is under consideration tonight, but it's not something that's been promoted. So just, I know that's minor, but it is, I think, significant. So we'll try to keep the speaking, if you're coming up to speak, try not to repeat what others have said, but we'll try to keep this to 3 minutes per person, though, but I want to make sure to give everybody an opportunity to be heard. And make sure to introduce yourself when you step up.
Mr. Mayor, councilors, I'm Patrick Wood, resident of Ward 3, Ward 1 now, I'm sorry. I moved back to Ward 1. I'm a retired attorney, so what I'm going to be saying tonight is primarily based on the fact that I spent almost 50 years practicing law here in the state of New Hampshire. I've handed out to you a copy of my remarks. I want to begin by talking very quickly about a Lutheran pastor, Martin Niemöller, who lived in Germany and was initially supportive of what the Hitler regime was doing. But when the Hitler regime started interfering with the Protestant church, Pastor Niemöller, as a Lutheran pastor, objected, and he objected critically and loudly. And he was arrested for his criticism. He was put in prison in 1937 and was only released when the war ended in 1945. After that time, he made some comments, and I want to read them first. Pastor Niemöller, first, they came for the socialists, and I did not speak out because I was not a socialist. Then they came for the trade unionists, and I did not speak out because I was not a trade unionist. Then they came for the Jews, and I did not speak out because I was not a Jew. Then they came for me, and there was no one left to speak for me. So in the spirit of Pastor Niemöller, I want to present my argument against this resolution. The statute in question, 287G, which is a part of the Immigration and Nationality Act of 1996, reads as follows. Notwithstanding Section 1342 of Title 31, the Attorney General may enter into a written agreement with a state or any political subdivision of a state, pursuant to which an officer or employee of the state or subdivision who is determined by the Attorney General to be qualified to perform a function of an immigration officer in relation to the investigation, apprehension, or detention of aliens in the United States, including the transportation of such aliens across state lines to detention centers, may carry out such function at the expense of the state or political subdivision and to the extent consistent with state and local law. This is the first section of that statute referred to in the proposed resolution. Note that this statute makes it very clear that actions by local law enforcement officers under this statute are done at the expense of the state or political subdivision. Are our budgets sufficiently available to cover the cost of the work that is already being done by the federal government? I don't think so. The Belknap County Sheriff told me that he was sending deputies to be trained only to serve warrants. When I met with Sheriff Wright, I was assured that he was referring to warrants issued by a judge. Why is that important? Because being an undocumented immigrant is not a crime. It is a civil matter. Under our criminal justice system, police officers cannot make arrests of individuals without probable cause. In the case of a misdemeanor, that generally means the officer must have witnessed the crime or have substantial evidence presented to establish probable cause. But even with that information, the arrest does not result in detaining the individual, except in cases where such detention is in the best interests of the safety or health of the individual. In the case of felonies, unless the officer actually witnesses the crime being committed, an arrest can only be made upon the basis of a warrant issued by a court after a grand jury has reviewed the prosecution evidence and determined that a crime has probably been committed and that the individual has probably committed the crime. Due process of law, as protected by the U.S. and New Hampshire constitutions, is there to protect the individual. Under the current immigration laws of the United States, the Immigration and Customs Enforcement Agency, ICE, can issue detainers or warrants that ICE officers use to detain immigrants that ICE believes are in the United States illegally. These detainers or ICE warrants have nothing to do with whether the individual has committed a crime. They only identify individuals who ICE believes may be in the United States without proper authority or documentation. These detainers or ICE warrants have not been reviewed by an independent authority such as a judge. They are internal documents only. Asking local law enforcement officers to arrest and detain individuals based on such a document puts those officers in the position of arresting and detaining individuals without probable cause and without evidence that any crime has been committed. Sheriff Wright has assured me that his officers will not be involved in the investigation of aliens, but only the arrest and detention and transportation of aliens pursuant to a court-issued warrant. Since a court-issued warrant can only be issued where there is probable cause to believe a crime has been committed by the specific individual, then such arrest and detention would be in keeping with the duties of law enforcement officers under our constitutions. Do we want our local police officers being involved in arresting and detaining individuals who have not committed a crime? Is that a wise investment of the limited resources we have? I do not think so. There are a couple of other items that should be considered here as well. In 2022, New Hampshire enacted RSA 159E. This statute prohibits the state of New Hampshire, any of its political subdivisions, or any person acting under the color of any state, county, or municipal law from using any personnel or financial resources to enforce, administer, or cooperate with any law, act, rule, order, or regulation of the United States government or executive order of the President of the United States that is inconsistent with any law of this state regarding the regulations of firearms, ammunition, magazines or the ammunition feeding devices, firearm components, firearm supplies, or knives. For example, the federal law restricting guns in our schools cannot be enforced in New Hampshire by any local police department or any sheriff's office. So if this resolution were adopted, protecting our schools is not as important as potentially arresting and detaining an undocumented immigrant. This is not my priority. Secondly, effective October 1, 2024, no state, county, or municipal law enforcement agency or officer or other state agency with authority to make arrests shall engage in racial profiling. This is New Hampshire Law 106-0. Racial profiling is defined in this statute as follows. Racial profiling shall mean the practice of relying solely on race, ethnicity, color, national origin, nationality, language, sex, gender identity, sexual orientation, political affiliation, religion, socioeconomic status, or disability in selecting a person to subject to routine or spontaneous investigatory activities, including interviews, detentions, traffic stops, pedestrian stops, stop and frisks, and other type of bodily searches or searches of personal or real property, or determining the scope, substance, or duration of investigation of or law enforcement activity to which a person will be subjected. There is an exception to this. It shall not be interpreted to prohibit a law enforcement officer from relying on physical descriptions, including sex, race, ethnicity, color, and disability, to select a person to subject to investigatory activity or determine the scope, substance, or duration of the investigation when seeking to apprehend a subject in response to a specific complaint or articulable basis that a crime has been committed, and there exists trustworthy and reliable information relevant to the locality and the time frame that links a person to an identified criminal incident or scheme. If a crime has been committed and a person is reasonably and reliably linked to that crime, then law enforcement can rely on certain profiles of individuals to stop a person. The key is there must be probable cause before some profiling would be permitted. Again, this is part of the fundamental principle of our system of laws. Everyone, not just citizens, everyone in the United States is entitled to due process. That's our Constitution. That's federal Constitution and the state Constitution. These ICE detainers or warrants do not provide due process. The federal law prohibiting guns in or near schools makes that action a crime. Prohibiting local law enforcement officers from enforcing federal crimes is a great deal more restricting than prohibiting local law enforcement officers from enforcing a non-criminal federal statute. In my opinion, this proposed resolution should mirror the provisions of 159E and prohibit our local law enforcement officers from doing anything to support the actions of the federal government that do not protect the due process rights of our citizens and our residents. Thank you.
Thank you, Patrick. I want you all to know, since Patrick took 15 minutes, you're now down to 30 seconds each. 3 minutes.
Marcia Hayward, 9 Wildwood Road. I had prepared statement, but after Attorney Wood presented his argument, my comments pale in comparison. So all I will say is I am totally in agreement. I am strongly opposed to this resolution for all the reasons that have been presented. Is that 30 seconds good?
I'm going to take 2 seconds. Okay. Well, probably 15. John Sullivan, in reference to Jane's Ave being accepted as a road, I'm the only one here that's in town today to say thank you for your hard work and doing that and allowing us to be considered a highway of the city.
Thank you.
That's it.
Jason Sproul, Ward 3. I'm speaking to you tonight about Resolution 2025-15. I'll try to keep my remarks as brief as I can. We all know that carnival games are rigged, so is our economy and our immigration system. Over 50 years, Republican politicians and some Democrats have worked together to make it nearly impossible for people to follow every law and regulation and get by and get ahead. When my great-great-grandparents came to the United States in the late 19th century, there were no passports, no visas, and few quotas, at least for Northern Europeans. Now our immigration system is broken by design. Mr. Mayor, councilors, and fellow citizens, we are a nation and a city of immigrants from all over the world. We believe in the American dream, the Declaration of Independence, and the promise of the Constitution of the United States. Donald Trump, Elon Musk, and Councilor Boegert are exploiting the hardships of ordinary working families, created by neoliberal Republicans with help from neoliberal Democrats. They blame immigrants and other poor, powerless groups for the pain of right-wing policies that they designed to benefit the ultra-wealthy and large corporations at the expense of everyone else. Right-wing media lies about non-citizens voting to create fear of a fake emergency. Bringing this proposal at this moment in our history is a clear choice. It is the opposite of fiscal responsibility, law and order, and our 250-year tradition of American values. The Trump-Musk administration is currently violating the law and ignoring the orders of federal courts after losing 9-0 in the Supreme Court. They have plainclothes thugs abducting students and lawful permanent residents. They are deporting human beings to a torture prison in a foreign country, El Salvador, where hundreds of people have died in recent years. They are threatening to do the same to American citizens. They are doing all of this to quote-unquote criminals, which is both unconstitutional and immoral. They are doing this to innocent gang victims and fathers like Kilmar Abrego Garcia. They are doing this to people like Mahmoud Khalil and Ramesa Ozturk, based solely on speech and beliefs they do not like. Councillor Boegert wants the taxpayers of our city to provide even more funding for this campaign of terror, while our Republican representatives in Concord, like Representative Boegert, cut services and raise our property taxes to fund their handouts to the ultra-wealthy and big business. This is not fiscal responsibility. I urge the council to vote against this proposal in the name of our Constitution and our moral values, and get back to the business of helping all of our residents to get by and get ahead. Thank you.
Thank you. If I could just, I want all of you to speak with the passion, whether you're for this or against it. I just want you to refrain from calling out individual counselors for criticisms. You can give them all the compliments you want, but I just want to be careful to not. This is a policy issue that's being presented, not necessarily a personal issue, though it's being offered by a person. Just want us to respect that sort of rules of civility here, if you would, please.
My name is Scott Mowry, and I've lived on Hillcrest Drive for the last 27 years, and I'm in favor of having the city take over take it as a public highway acceptance, and if we can get it moved up the list on tonight's agenda, I'd greatly appreciate it.
Thank you, sir.
Just as I recall, both of those do have public hearings tonight.
Right, yep, yes. There will be public hearings, yes. Thank you for reminding me of that.
Different agenda item.
Right, yes. Good evening.
Good evening. Catherine Tokars, Ward 6. Mayor Hosmer, city councilors, city clerk Gargano, our illustrious city manager Kirk Beatty, Director Smith. Thank you so much for allowing us to offer our opinions on this. I was hoping that Sheriff Wright was here. Is he here today? No? So, first of all, I want to thank you all for your support in our time of grief that we had a couple weeks ago. It is appreciated. And we live in a community, and we are a family. These people behind me are your family. You are our family, and we appreciate it. So my question to the sheriff was how long he had been the sheriff of Belknap County, and during that time, how many murders were committed in Belknap County, and how many of those murders were committed by undocumented immigrants, or how many of those murders were committed by white Caucasian people. Can you assure us that people who don't agree with the current administration in Washington, D.C. will not be deported to El Salvador because just by the fact that we disagree with him? So even today, he, in the Oval Office, was talking with the president of El Salvador and asked him to build 5 more prisons so that he could scoop up more of us to deport us. I don't think he's gonna want me, you know. I got a big mouth and I'm not here for a long time. But recently, ICE has seized and imprisoned people who have not been charged with crimes and who were lawfully present, including legal permanent residents. And they had valid visas. In regard to Resolution 25-15, I strongly do not support cooperation by our City Council, nor the Police Department, nor the Belknap County Sheriff's Department with the U.S. Immigrations and Custom Enforcement. I strongly oppose New Hampshire law enforcement participation in federal 287G immigration enforcement program and request that the Belknap County Sheriff's Department withdraw from participation immediately. I will be contacting all of my representatives to let them know, based on what I was hoping what Sheriff Wright was going to say, but I'll touch base with him tomorrow. There's no need for this in our community, and I hope that you will take that under advisement to hear the people that are speaking and know that we're serious about this. Thank you.
Thank you.
Hi, my name's Kathy Campbell, and I live on Lincoln Street. This is my first time ever doing anything like this, so I'm going to work my hardest. Again, the proposition regarding the police assisting ICE. I am not in agreement with that at all. Okay, I already started off wrong, but I do not believe they should be required to assist ICE employees in detaining immigrants. Many are innocent of any criminal charges. We're not talking civil here, we're talking criminal charges. I thought our police officers were here to protect and serve. It is a scare and it is a hate tactic being promoted today in our country, in our democracy. I do find it ironic that a convicted felon, can I say his name? is the main architect behind this design. What does he have against non-criminal immigrants? This detain, deport policy is fraught with poor planning and execution. Many, many people have literally been kidnapped, handcuffed, shackled, imprisoned, and denied access to legal assistance. I am definitely pro detaining and deporting proven or very highly suspect criminals, but I am against the reckless denial of human rights of innocent immigrants or on non-criminal charges. These people at best are guilty of civilian misconduct, many times unintentionally. For examples, January 27th of this year, 1,179 arrests, of which only 613 were deemed criminal. That left 566 people whose cases lacked the evidence at the time for their arrests for them to even be considered criminals. April 10th, a judge temporarily blocked the deportation of thousands of working, tax-paying Venezuelans here under TPS, the temporary protected status of our nation, who are seeking asylum due to their own country's punitive treatment of them. If not for this judge, they would be being deported to the dangerous homeland. As you might recall, this status was revoked by Trump in February of this year. They have jobs, they contribute $500 million in taxes, and $2 billion per year for our economy. And they have families, including children. How does any human with a heart support this? I will include a short list of people that I feel are being unlawfully detained just as examples. In reality, the list is very long, but we just have to do our own homework. The tough student, Oz Burke, she was handcuffed, brought in the middle of the street. Why? A pro-Israeli website listed her as pro-Palestinian and pictured her. A week prior to her arrest, she mentioned her concern, fear of being arrested over this website posting. She was arrested. She was handcuffed, she was detained. That was mere pro-Palestinian. As you may know, or you may not know, recently, Israel bombed ambulance crews of Palestinians, covered it up, said they didn't have their lights on. It was a mistake. The videos were shown. It was all lies. So I support Israel. However, there are wrongdoings, and we shouldn't have a blanket support of anybody who's just favoring Palestine. Rights. There's a Russian native, Kasenika Petrova, working visa, Harvard Medical as a researcher. She did make a mistake. She had genetic specimens in her purse upon her return to our country. Her visa was a working visa. She's been detained 7 weeks with no evidence of being discharged whatsoever or let go. She doesn't have a lawyer. She has no legal representation. She would like to return. She would just like to go to Europe. No longer work for Harvard. Just go to Europe. Because she does not want to return to Russia, her country, because she as well pro-Ukraine.
So we're closing in on 5 minutes right now. I want you,
Oh, just sum it up. Okay.
if you don't mind.
There are several other names, but I'll just skip to the end. Do Laconia Police need to enforce this inhumanitarian behavior? I say no. They have enough to do. In fact, if I were on the police force, I would quit before I would participate in any of this action.
Thank you, ma'am.
That's it.
Appreciate it. Anyone else like to speak to matters on tonight's agenda?
My name is Mo Baxley, and I vote in Ward 2. I didn't have time to prepare remarks here. I just heard about this. Look, we all look at the news, ISIS scooping up college kids, and they didn't do anything except exercise their right to free speech. You know, they accidentally deported somebody to El Salvador. This is a really divisive issue, and Laconia doesn't need it. I drove past all the homeless folks as I was coming here tonight. If we're gonna face these challenges, we need to do it together. And we need to focus on our issues and what we can accomplish here together. Put this divisive stuff, leave it in DC, send it back to Concord. We don't need it here in Laconia. Let's focus on our issues and problems and taking care of our neighbors. Thank you all for your service to the city. That's it.
Hello.
Hi, I'm Hazel Zimmer. I was a social worker in Laconia for the state of New Hampshire for 13 years, and I have lived in this town for 46 years. I will just say I am against this resolution and against my hard-earned tax money being used for this purpose.
Anybody else this evening would like to speak to matters on tonight's agenda?
Hi, Matt Souza, Ward 4. Most of you know me a little bit. I'd like to preface my brief remarks, which I wasn't going to make, by saying that I have nothing but admiration and respect for every individual on this council and for the mayor, and I appreciate all that you do for the city. Even well-meaning and virtuous people can perhaps make a mistake or go a little off track. My concern is that this is, as we've seen here, a very divisive issue that maybe we don't need right now. And that's why I would just recommend caution. And as an amateur student of history, there's, look, many people have been deported in the history of the United States, especially gangsters, criminals. They were all subjected to lengthy due process before those decisions were made and they were deported. And I would just want to make sure that we were involved in things where you'd give the same due process to somebody who's guilty of an infraction as you would to an Al Capone. I'll leave it at that. Thanks very much.
Anyone else like to speak? Is Bob okay?
My name is Caroline Smith. I'm in Ward 4. I used to live in Laconia back in the early 90s for about 10 years and moved to get married. When I was widowed, I came back here, and I love being here. I echo what Patrick Wood said about we have procedures in place to protect people, and it's called probable cause before getting a warrant. These are to protect people and to prevent mistakes to the extent that they can be. We've all been reading that ICE is making mistakes. Many people were in favor of President Trump saying we're going to deport all the criminals. You've heard on the news and here tonight. It's not simply criminals that are being rounded up here. And they're being rounded up without probable cause. They are being... If the only crime that they committed was criminal trespassing coming into the United States, how can you be sent to a prison in El Salvador to face those kinds of conditions? When I heard that the person that was sent to El Salvador by mistake, admittedly by mistake, the response of the Justice Department to the judge inquiring what they had found out, well, he's alive. That doesn't say much. He didn't deserve to be there, and he's lucky to be alive. To have our local police involved in that, to have our taxes supporting that is, I believe, very wrong, and I'm very much against the resolution. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am. Anyone else this evening like to speak to matters that are on tonight's agenda? Okay. Can we take just a 2-minute recess and make sure Councilor Susi is doing okay? Because we're going to move on to a subject now. And oh, okay. Great. All right. We're out of recess. In light of no, it's all right. I was going to wait for it. No problem at all. In light of most of our comments tonight are in regards to what I think is 21K, Resolution 2015. I'm going to 2025-15. I'm going to pull that forward right now. So. F, G, H, I, J, K. Got it. All right. What's that?
21K.
21K.
K?
K is kilo.
Okay. Yep, okay.
Agenda item, I'll take my time until you're ready. Very.
Got it, okay.
Got it? Okay, good. Resolution 2025-15, a resolution strongly supporting cooperating with the U.S. Immigration and Customs Enforcement. On the discussion portion of this, Councilor Bogert requested that this resolution be presented to the council at this meeting for their discussion and consideration. This is a series of 3 motions right now. The first motion we'll be looking for is to move to waive a reading of Resolution 2025-15 in its entirety to read by title only. So made by Councilor Cheney, seconded by Councilor Felch. Is there any discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor, please raise your hands. 6 votes in the affirmative, that motion passes. Next, looking for a motion to move a first reading of Resolution 2025-15 relating to strongly supporting cooperating with the U.S. Immigration and Customs Enforcement. So made by Councilor Bogert, seconded by Councilor Felch. Is there any further discussion on this?
And I would like to roll call, please.
Sure. Is there any further discussion on this? Seeing none, I'd ask the clerk to call the roll.
Counselor Cheney,
Yes.
Counselor Susie?
Yes.
Counselor Hoffman?
No.
Counselor Haynes?
No.
Counselor Bogart?
Yes.
Counselor Felch?
No. I'll vote yes. Let's move on to the third motion here. Looking for a motion to approve Resolution 2025-15 relating to strongly supporting cooperating with U.S. Immigration and Customs Enforcement.
And I request a roll call.
You'll be given one, sir.
Mr. Mayor, may I comment, please?
Oh, we've got a, are you moving this motion?
Yes.
Is there a second? Counselor Felch? Discussion.
Okay.
Counselor Susie.
Thank you very much. First, I just want to apologize. I had to step out for a minute or so for some issue that came up. But regardless of that, Mr. Mayor, a few things. Number one, I'm a little bit disappointed that this came to the council, okay? And the main reason is I've always taken pride in being a member of the city council to be a nonpartisan city council, okay? I mean, I thought that was something for everybody here in the room, everybody, that we're nonpartisan. We try hard not to bring politics to the table. And that's a disappointment, because I think that's what's best for the city, leave the politics out, okay? And no matter what side of the aisle you're on, we try and stay in the middle and take care of our citizens. But secondly, and a lot of you don't know this, I was a police officer here in Laconia for many years. And one of the things I can remember when I went to the police academy and after I came out, I had to take an oath of office. And my oath was that I had to uphold the Constitution, both the city, the state, and the federal Constitution. And I can remember many times that all I believe in is the rule of law. Now, during my years on the police department, this was many years ago, and I'm not sure if ICE even existed at that time, or maybe under a different acronym. But I can remember times when I was asked by my boss, okay, the chief, to go out and work with either the FBI, ATF, I mean, different name at that time for DEA, and go out and work with them to apprehend places where they had warrants or they were getting criminals, okay? It's a police officer's duty to turn around and uphold the law, okay? Patrick, I appreciate what you said, okay, and everything else like that, but, you know, here we had federal law that I was asked to uphold, and I continue to feel that way. We're a country of laws, we're a city of laws, and if somebody from any federal agency, one of the enforcement federal agencies, came to the police department and asked Chief Canfield in this case, or asked me if I was still there, to assist them in apprehension of a criminal of some kind, I would gladly do it. That's my job, that's my oath that I took. And I had a couple of people call me today, and I appreciate they called me, and they were opposed to this resolution. I don't understand how people can be opposed to upholding the rule of law. That's what's really being conflicting to me. And secondly, I'm disappointed in Mr. Mayor and you and, you know, the council and situation, bringing not just this one, but what happened 3 weeks ago. We're trying to bring politics into this city council, and that's wrong. Okay, I mean, and when somebody talks about, you know, costs of enforcement, I don't care how much money it costs us to enforce the law, okay? I think we should do it. Now, if somebody's worried about ICE coming into the city of Laconia, I doubt that very much. I think if they came, if they did, and I'm not sure because I haven't talked to the chief or the sheriff, and they were coming in here for some people that had warrants against them, done by a judge, because you can't do a warrant without a judge, Pat, and I agree with you on that, and there's probable cause, then we should support that all the way. Okay? I don't see anything wrong with that. Okay? And I can tell you on the other hand, when it comes to I run a factory for a local company, but not here. I actually in Alabama. And I have people working for me that are there on visas, come over from the border. Fantastic. They do great work. I'm helping them all the time, and I'm actually trying to encourage them to get green cards. I had a factory in Toronto, and I told this to a lady today for almost 4 years. And Toronto's like what I call Heinz 57. There's every different culture there is from all over the world that comes there. I had them hold English classes on Saturday so we could teach the not illegals, but people didn't come from Canada or something like that, how to speak English, because that's what they wanted. What's wrong with that? We're all illegal. We're all immigrants. My grandparents came from Canada, okay? Quebec. And so did my wife's parents, all come from Quebec. We're all legals. But if you're here, and when I go to the border, and I go to Mexico quite a bit, go to Juarez, go to Tijuana, and I go across the border, and I see a lot of people in line gonna get their visas, whether it's a student visa, it's a work visa. It's great. I strongly encourage that. Okay? Coming across the border illegally, according to everything I've read and seen, is wrong. Okay? But I also think what's wrong is if they commit a crime, that's a crime. That's an arrestable offense. And Patrick, I don't think you're going to disagree with that from what you were reading. Okay? I don't think ICE is going to come up here and do this. I really don't. I'll be very surprised.
I'm sorry, Counselor. My hearing aids stopped today,
So,
I couldn't hear what you were
Pat,
saying.
mine's on the other side, it's not that great either. All I'm saying is that I agree with you, if there's a warrant that's been signed by a judge and it's probable cause, we should enforce that. Okay? That's all I'm saying. So, to the audience, the people in my ward, to all of us here, I don't know how we can say we support if ICE comes here or any federal agent, whether it's FBI, DEA, ATF, comes here and they have an arrest warrant for somebody, and that arrest warrant has been duly authorized by a judge and there's probable cause and everything, how can I say no? I've done that, okay? So I don't understand how anybody can oppose this as long as they're following the rules of law. Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
So, point of clarification, I did not bring either of these resolutions.
I'm not saying you brought one of the resolutions, Mr. Mayor, but all I'm saying is I'm disappointed as the mayor that these political things are coming to the city council because I
You're
don't think it's
disappointed as a
necessary.
counselor, or your role as mayor? Are you disappointed in me for letting this
I'm
discussion
disappointed
take
in the
place?
city council, the whole
Gotcha.
thing coming, okay?
Okay, fair enough.
Not you personally.
Fair enough.
Unless you want to take it personally.
No,
Okay.
pretty thick skin, though.
Thank you.
Counselor Haynes.
Thank you, Mayor. I'm a little concerned. Okay, we want to enforce the law. But if you read that, okay, that's asking us to get involved, the council, to start telling the police chief what to do. That's against the ordinances, that's against everything. The voters made it very clear that the police commission would run the police department, and the council and everyone else would stay out of it. So I'm wondering, which law are you talking about? You can't enforce one law and break another law. Thank you, Mayor.
You're welcome. Mr. Bogert.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. In response to yours, within this resolution, it says, "Be it further resolved that the Laconia City Council supports recommending to the Laconia Police Commission," not the police chief.
That's semantics, counselor, and you know it. That's playing
I
word games.
think I have the floor.
You can
and
have the floor.
Well, thank you very much, sir. And it says that the Laconia Police Commission, that they direct. We recommend to the police. We don't direct. We ask that they take it under consideration, and then they will make their recommendation to the police chief. It is not given any direction. We do not enforce the police commission to do anything. And that's why the word recommendation is put in place. And you're correct.
don't have
If
to
we
vote.
went straight to the police chief, then we would have an issue. But we didn't. It went to the commission. The thing does not anywhere say, and in 287G, does not instruct our police department to go out and do anything other than when they were contacted by a federal agency to provide support to help them. And with local help, it helps cut down on arrests that were not proper, so that the wrong person doesn't, it helps, and hopefully it will help, so that someone who shouldn't be arrested doesn't get arrested. It's what 287, if anybody would like to read 287G, it doesn't say that our police force should go out and start pulling people over and arresting people or anything. It's based on federal input from a federal law enforcement agency. Thank you. And one last thing. I agree with Councilor Susie and what he said. I couldn't have said it any better than the way he placed it, so thank you.
Counselor Felch.
Yes. I just want to preface this by saying I seconded this motion so we could have a discussion. I am 100% against this resolution. And I wanted the people here to see where their counselors stand on this. Our police department cooperates with any enforcement agency that comes into town. They don't have to be told to do that. And what it says here is helping someone that doesn't have a warrant. And without a warrant, the police department does not have to be involved. So I'm totally against this.
Counselor Cheney.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. After 25 years in law enforcement, I have a visceral objection to people being arrested without probable cause and any action taken without court authorization. There are some things here tonight, though, that disappoint me. One is Pat suggested that
Microphone.
Sorry, Pat. Pat, you suggested tonight that illegal entry into the United States is a civil matter, not a criminal matter. 8 U.S. Code 1325, in fact, has several types of entry into this country, which are criminal offenses. They are not referred to as undocumented immigrants. They're referred to as unlawful entries. And although first offense entry into the United States is a civil matter, any subsequent offense for entering this country is a criminal matter. And I'm aware that our police department already works with Border Patrol and those other agencies routinely. What comes to mind for me is Motorcycle Week, when there's actually a fairly significant presence. I don't want to see anybody in Laconia hauled off for their speaking out against something or whatever the other concerns were. At the same time, I don't want us to say you can't do anything about enforcement in immigration matters. And like Bob has suggested, Councilor Susie has suggested, our police officers have an obligation to enforce the law and assist other agencies in enforcing the law. I don't want to encourage ICE or anybody else to come in Laconia if they don't have something specific to look for. And I certainly don't want to see anybody, like I said, I have a visceral objection to seeing anybody hauled off without probable cause and without court action. But let's don't make this a battle about we should or we shouldn't. It's a battle of, it's not a battle. It's a question of our department should continue to do what it's done all along, which is assist federal agencies when there's a reasonably stated reason to give them assistance. So although I probably am not going to support this tonight, I also don't want us to be too dramatic about what ICE might do. I've never seen them do anything in our community inappropriate. I would guarantee you our police department would stop any inappropriate action by ICE or any other federal agency. But at the same time, I want you to understand that some of these things are criminal acts. Some of these people that have been hauled off have committed grievous criminal activities, and I hope we can go forward on a friendlier note from this point forward. Hope you feel better, Mark. Yeah. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Councilor Hoffman.
Thank you. Sorry, I'm losing my voice, but you're all going to hear it anyway.
Oh, we're just getting our hopes up.
The rule of law, fairness, due process, the presumption of innocence, the right to a trial, these rights apply to everyone in our country, citizen or not. The concept of due process is a concept at the absolute foundation of our justice system. This gives us all the right to know the charges against us, the right to be heard, the right to counsel, and the right to an impartial judgment. Currently, immigrants are being detained who are here legally, tourists, students, business owners, and they're being deported without adequate due process. Regardless of your opinion on immigration policy, this should be alarming. Rights must be defended from the forward position. And what I mean by that is once rights are lost, it is much harder to regain them. They must be defended before they are lost. I don't see the benefit to the citizens of Laconia from aggressive immigration enforcement, but I see very clearly what we are losing. I'm enraged by some of the shameful things I see being done by our federal agencies, and I want no part in cooperating with agencies that appear to operate outside the rule of law. When you detain someone on their way to an immigration hearing, you deprive them of their due process. When ununiformed agents in unmarked vehicles wearing ski masks and dressed like video game terrorists are pulling people off the street, not hardened criminals, not gang members, rapists or murderers, students, tourists, business owners. That isn't justice, it's cruelty. We should be better than this, and we should demand better.
Councilor Susi, would you have anything?
Councilor Hoffman, I appreciate your comments, the fear-mongering to everybody here, but I want to say that, again, I got to refer back to the rule of law. I mean, I know I'm not a police officer today, but I still live by those constitutional oaths I have to take. I feel that here at the city council, having a very hard time making that decision. One way wants to go one way, the other way is an oath that I took many years ago. I don't want to see city of Laconia become a place where some people refer to as a sanctuary city. I don't think anybody wants to see that. I also want to make sure that if somebody has committed a crime, and Patrick, like you said, and I'll come back to what you stated, okay, if there's a warrant or if there's a criminal activity that's taken place and the police chief or his police officer has been asked to participate in apprehension of some kind, we should do that. I don't want to see this resolution be taken in a situation that protects everybody, whether or not, okay, if they committed a crime, this doesn't mean they get protected. That's what I want to make sure we all have here. I can't do that under with the way I've been brought up or the way I've been taught, okay? So you'll know, and so everybody else here will know, my vote will probably be to abstain because I just can't get torn between the two situations. Okay? Thank you.
Anyone else like to speak?
Thank you.
And, no, he finished.
I just want to say, should we read the resolution?
I think it's in the packet. I don't.
We voted not to.
We voted not.
Voted to do by title only.
I joined this council in 2018. I filled in for Armin Bolduc when he passed away. And I can think of all the people I served with, not only as counselor, but also as the mayor. And I can think of a good chunk of them, we probably didn't share common political opinions. But I always took particular pride in this city and in this council that we'd left politics at the door. We focused on the needs of our citizens, the needs of our students, the needs of our most vulnerable, taxes, budgeting. I find what's going on right now isn't about good governance. It's not about public safety. We've gotten to the point now where this is purely in response to a resolution from 2 weeks ago, which spoke out against the clawing back of federal grants promised to municipalities like Laconia. That if we had a federal grant and we were depending on it, the idea that the government, the executive office, would pull it back and deny it was egregious. That was the resolution. It wasn't political in nature, it was just a fact. This resolution, it strikes me as particularly troubling on a number of levels, not only because it reflects a lack of understanding of how our city government works. It smacks of a history, world history, and history within this country that should be troubling to all of us. It is to me. And it takes this council in a direction it never should have gone to. In all these years, and you can smirk and think that this is somehow funny or a joke or humorous, but you know, as I see it, what's happening is neither.
I smirk.
I didn't ask you a question, but I'm just saying.
I'll make a statement.
I will, and I'll give you an opportunity, and I will give you an opportunity to reply.
Then
But if you're
please.
going to sit there and smirk at me while I'm speaking, I'll make a comment about it.
I've been smiling all night.
I bet you have. Good for you, and I'm very happy for you. I have not been. Because this proposal, this resolution is not grounded in any real issue facing the city of Laconia. It's a document designed to score partisan points and stoke political fears where no problems exist. There's no crisis of undocumented immigrants in Laconia. There's no wave of immigrant-driven crime in this city. This council and the men and women who work for this city are focused on real issues: housing, economic growth, public safety, the future of our children, the people who live in Laconia housing, who are living right on the verge, right on the edge. And we are so fortunate in this city to have a highly respected police department who operates with professionalism, with independence. And for decades, this police department, under all of the chiefs that I've known, has built and earned the trust of our community. Our current chief continues the tradition, upholding the highest standards of policing. The police department and the police commission are independent. The vernacular used in this resolution to make a recommendation to the police commission, that's not in the purview of this city council. We trust them to fulfill their responsibilities and do their jobs. What bothers me just as much, though, this resolution hints at disturbing historical parallels. Throughout history and here in America, marginalized groups, Jews, Catholics, immigrants, people of color, Japanese Americans, our friends who are LGBTQ, and so many others have been targeted under the guise of, quote, law and order. We may preach law and order right now, but what we're seeing executed throughout this country by ICE right now should give all of us pause. Their track record includes unconstitutional detentions, wrongful deportations, in blatant violations of due process. Due process, the rule of law, it's from the Constitution, which is not a document of convenience. I took an oath as a district attorney as well. It stays with me today. It's not just the U.S. Constitution, it's the state constitutions. Unfortunately, ICE right now seems to be targeting people of color because of the color of their skin, their ideas, their national origin. These people in our country, many, if not most legally, who are entitled to constitutional rights, always when they're in this country, not only when it's convenient. Regardless of whether someone's a natural-born citizen, naturalized citizens, green card holders, F1 or J1 residents. We must not allow fear or partisanship to roll back constitutional rights that protect everyone. Let me also just take a moment and talk about how fortunate we are to have Laconia Police Department. I'm suspicious that this resolution was contrived without even counsel of the police chief or the commissioners. Not even working to collaborate with the people that we are now apparently, if this resolution is signed, we're asking them to take this stand. We haven't included them in the discussion. Let's talk about Laconia PD. It's one of 18 police departments CALEA certified in New Hampshire, out of 200 agencies. Laconia has focused on community policing, the idea of building trust within community to proactively police and to build trust in a community that when a crime occurs, people are willing to raise up their hand and offer some degree of insistence. We also have the PET program, initiated here, I believe, in Laconia, now rolled out throughout New England. Our officers go and train. Laconia routinely works with all federal and state partners in their mission of law enforcement. Chief has assured me of that. But our PD is not an extension of federal agencies. I personally trust Chief Canfield's professional judgment, and he, along with our police commission, should guide how Laconia law enforcement interacts with outside agencies. Furthermore, participating in ICE's 287G program diverts local officers from their essential duties, burdening the city financially, taking them away from local law enforcement, creating unnecessary liabilities, all to serve a political narrative that has no basis in Laconia's reality. And worse, it would tear at the fabric of trust between law enforcement and the communities they serve, especially communities of color and immigrants who have called Laconia home. They make Laconia stronger, not weaker. In conclusion, let us also remember the history started almost over 20 years ago in this city by then police chief, I believe, Bill Baker. Laconia was a designated resettlement city for Bhutanese refugees. People who don't look like me, any of us, people don't speak like us, people don't have the same customs. One of their primary concerns was coming into a country they were not familiar with the culture, and how would they interact with the police. Thankfully, we had a police department that was progressive. The Human Relations Committee grew out of that to make sure these men and women could adjust to American culture and to our city of Laconia. It was our opportunity to make them feel welcome, to make sure their transition was smooth, and to know that they were important and valued members of America. That lives on today in our multicultural festival we have every year. I really hope that the city council gets back to the problems that we should be very concerned about. Housing, public safety, helping build a robust economy, trying to deal with the increased burdens of what's being ratcheted down on us by the state government. This resolution is contrary to Laconia's values. It's an insult to our professional police departments, and it's a dangerous politicization of public safety. History is full of examples where fear overcame facts and justice, was sacrificed for politics. I hope we don't add Laconia's name to that list. Is there any further discussion on this matter? Seeing none, I'd ask the clerk to please call the roll.
Counselor Cheney,
Abstain.
Counselor Susie,
Abstain.
Counselor Hoffman,
No.
Counselor Haynes,
No.
Counselor Bogert,
Yes.
Counselor Felch,
Hell no.
That motion fails. Moving on to agenda item 8, believe it or not, at 8:19. 8A, consent and action items. This is the reappointment to the trustee of the trust funds. City manager indicates we've received an application for reappointment from Margaret Peggy Selig for her term on the trustees of the trust funds. Her term expired at the end of March, but she can continue to serve in her normal capacity until she is reappointed, replaced, or resigns. However, the trustees are anxious to have Ms. Selig reappointed at this time. Counselor Susie, as chair of the Appointments Subcommittee, has recommended the council bypass its normal appointment process and has requested the city council approve Ms. Selig's formal appointment this evening. Right now, I'll be looking for a motion to reappoint Margaret Peggy Selig to the trustees of the trust funds to a three-year term, which expires at the end of March 2028, at which time she may request to be reappointed. So made by Counselor Susie, seconded by Counselor Cheney. Is there any further discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor, please indicate by raising your hands. 6 votes in the affirmative, and that passes. Moving on to agenda item 8B. This is a temporary traffic order. A request has been received to hold Wake the Lake on Lakeside Avenue on May 16th to May 18th, 2025, beginning at 5 p.m. on Friday, May 16th, and ending 5 p.m. on Sunday, May 18th. Actual hours of operation for the event will be as follows. Friday, May 16th, beginning at 5, ending at 2 a.m. on Saturday, May 17th. Saturday, beginning at 7 a.m., ending at 2 a.m. on Sunday, May 18th. Sunday, May 18th, beginning at 7 a.m. and ending at 5 p.m. Section 161-4 of the city's code states in part that outdoor sound shall not operate past the hour of 9 p.m. Sunday through Thursday and 10 p.m. on Friday and Saturday, with the exception of Motorcycle Week. The organizer of this event is requesting that the time set forth as shown above be extended to allow bands to play until 11 p.m. on Friday, May 16th, and Saturday, May 17th. Bands will only play until 5 p.m. Sunday, May 18th. The Special Events Review Committee has approved this event at their April 2nd meeting. A map of the event is provided in your packets as additional information. Please note that paid parking on Lakeside Avenue will not yet be in effect during the event. Organizer of the event is also requesting a waiver of all licensing and special event fees associated with this event. In past years, the council has approved this waiver request. If the waiver request is not approved, the licensing fee would be $150. Special event fee would be $200 for a total of $350. Right now, I'm looking for a motion to move to approve temporary traffic order 2025-05, Wake the Lake, approve a waiver of all licensing and special event fees, extend the hours of operation of sound equipment and/or loudspeakers for Wake the Lake from 10 p.m. to 11 p.m. on Friday, Saturday, May 17th, on Friday and Saturday, and allow alcohol consumption on city property in the designated areas only. So made by Counselor Felch, seconded by...
I have a question.
Okay, well, I won't go too fast.
Okay.
I'll give you a chance before we vote.
Okay. thank
Seconded
you.
by Counselor Hoffman. Is there any question? Counselor Susie.
Yes. I have a couple of questions, please, okay? Number one, 7 a.m., is that, I mean, Anthony?
Just serving breakfast.
We're just serving breakfast.
That's early to tee off, isn't it?
Breakfast. Is breakfast also include alcohol?
Yeah.
So.
Legal at 6 o'clock in the morning in New Hampshire.
There you go.
Gotta have a Bloody Mary.
Big one. Okay, and
All right.
secondly, I mean, my only other question, and I understand it's gonna be a rub, I don't know about waiving all the fees. The reason is, seriously, this is a for-profit, for your profit, naturally, okay? And I think that when it comes to for-profit organization, whether it's you or anybody else, I think the fees should be paid, okay? That's my suggestion, or if I had to change or amend the motion, that would be my request.
So you're looking to amend the motion to charge for,
The fees for.
for $350 for special event fee, and
Exactly.
so is there a second on that motion?
I second.
Second. So right now, we have an amended motion before us. Counselor Felch.
Yes, even though he's not paying these fees, he's bringing a lot to the city of Laconia. He's bringing money.
I understand.
It's money
that,
we
Tony.
need to the city of Laconia. And I'm not done. He's also paying for police duty. He has lots of other fees that he has to pay. This $350 is telling him, thank you for doing what you do.
If I may, Mr. Mayor?
No, let's.
Let's go, okay, because
we gotta go.
it's late, I understand.
Yeah, I mean, we go back and forth for a while. Counselor Haynes.
Yeah, in the past, has it been waived?
Always.
Okay,
Right.
thank you.
We brought this up at the last budget hearings last year, that we would take a different view, at least discuss for all these for-profit situations to pay the fees. Non-profits, we would waive. That's one of the reasons I brought it up.
Okay, so instead of, let's
vote.
separate the fees, okay? This is gonna be an individual motion made by Counselor Susie, seconded by Counselor Bogert. That the host, the organizer, pay the fees, all right? Is there any further discussion on that? Why don't we call that to a vote and then move to the larger one as well? All right? All those in favor of the organizer paying $350 in fees, please raise your hand. Opposed? 4-2, that motion fails. Let's move on to the second motion, which is I already read, the temporary traffic order. If there's no further discussion on that, all of those in favor, please raise your hand. 6 votes in the affirmative, and that motion passes. Okay, let's move on to 8D. We have the same thing here, and if you'd like to bring that motion, just let me know, again, because it's waiving fees on 8C.
8C. Yep.
8C, right?
8C, got it. Yes, 8C, yes.
Bike timber.
All right, so this is a Bike Timber Fest. The dates of Bike Timber Fest are September 12th through the 14th, 2025, beginning at 5 p.m. Friday, September 12th, and ending 5 p.m. on Sunday, September 14th. Once again, the city code states in part, the outdoor sound shall not operate past the hour of 9 p.m., Sunday to Thursday, 10 p.m. on Friday and Saturday. Organizer of this event is requesting that the time for outdoor sound as shown be extended to allow bands to play until 11 p.m. Friday, September 12th, and Saturday, September 13th. Bands will play until 5 p.m. on Sunday, September 14th. Special Events Review Committee has approved this event at their April 2nd meeting. Organizer is requesting the licensing fee of $150 and special event fee of $200 be waived. Would you like to make a motion for that, just so
It's a
we...
moot point.
Okay, fair enough. Right now, I'm looking for a motion to move to approve temporary traffic order 2025-06, Laconia Bike Timber Fest, approve a waiver of all licensing and special event fees associated with the event, extend the hours of operation of sound equipment and/or loudspeakers for Bike Timber Fest from 10 p.m. to 11 p.m. on Friday, September 12th, 2025, and Saturday, September 13th, 2025, and allow alcohol consumption on city property in the designated areas only pending Special Events Review Committee. So made by Councilor Felch, seconded by Councilor Cheney. Is there any further discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor, please indicate by raising your hand. 6 votes in the affirmative. That motion passes. Agenda item number 8D. Laconia Parks and Recreation has submitted a request for a temporary traffic order for the Laconia July 4th, 2025 parade and festivities from 8 a.m. to 11 p.m. This is a recurring event with no charges. other than the date. Looking for a motion to approve temporary traffic order 2025-07, July 4th, 2025 parade and festivities to be held on July 4th, 2025 from 8 a.m. to 11 p.m. So made by Counselor Haynes, seconded by Counselor Felch. Is there any further discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor, please indicate by raising your hands. 6 votes in the affirmative, and that motion passes. Agenda item number 9, citizens' opportunity to make comments for matters not on the agenda. Patrick?
Mr. Mayor, councilors,
3 minutes.
thank you, very short. Patrick Wood, just giving you an update on the Housing Authority, the Congregate Housing Support Services Program. We presented our concerns to the county commissioners a couple of weeks ago, and then followed up with a presentation to the Belknap County delegation. We were told that the budget was probably in the most final form that it could be from the House, although Chairman Bean allowed us to send an email to the delegation with our thoughts. He presented it to the Finance Committee of the House. It's my understanding that it did not move enough people in the budget, so it's in the budget that was adopted by the House. The money is not there. I talked to Senator Gray. There are 4 members of the Senate Finance Committee who represent towns in Belknap County, and so we have forwarded our request to the Senate Finance Committee. I'm assuming that they will let us know when they're having a hearing on that issue, but at this point in time, it looks like the funds, unless we can get the Senate to modify the budget, it may not happen. So just an update on that.
Patrick, that was contained in HB2. That funding for congregate housing was in fact eliminated.
I'm sorry, sir.
HB2 congregate housing the funding for it was in fact eliminated. Yes.
Yes, it was.
Yes.
Yes.
Okay.
Mr. Mayor, if I may.
But it's not in the budget there at the Senate. The budget is in the Senate. Counselor
If I may.
Boger.
Patrick, since I found it, I did find it into the budget. I think it was under Part 91 of the HB2. I've already started working the senators to see if I could get that removed from the budget when they go into reviewing of the budget. So I'm
So we're working to get it back?
I'm working to get it back.
Thank you very much. That's greatly
There was
appreciated.
only 2 cities
Right.
in the state, they utilized it, and because there wasn't enough interest from everybody else, that's how I got there. And so we're working with the Senate trying to get that removed.
Just a note that I found out in doing all of this is that the cost to stay for one person in the Belknap County Nursing Home on an annual basis is $243,000. So if we can spend only $14,000 to keep people in their homes, it's a win-win. So thank you.
And I want to thank you for bringing it up because it would have, the way it was buried in HB2, we would have never seen it if you didn't bring it up. So thank you.
Exactly. So thank you for working. I appreciate it. Thank you all.
Anyone else like to speak to matters not on the agenda? All right, let's move along to public hearings. Right now, public hearing, agenda item number 13A. Ordinance 2025-221-41, amending Article 4, Regulations for Parking Meters. Notice this public hearing is made available in the March 13, 2025 edition of Laconia Daily Sun. Posted at Laconia City Hall, Laconia Community Center, Laconia Public Library, offices of the SAU. Action on this item may be taken up under unfinished business later on this evening. I'd like to open the public hearing at 8:32 p.m. If anyone would like to speak to this matter, now would be the appropriate time. Seeing no one would like to speak to it, I'm going to close the public hearing at 8:32. Agenda item number 13B, public hearing resolution 2025-10, acceptance of a USDA Rural Development Grant Community Project funding in the amount of $96,250 to help fund the design and construction of a critical evidence and equipment storage facility project. Notice of this public hearing is made available in the March 26, 2025 edition Laconia Daily Sun. Posted at Laconia City Hall, Laconia Community Center, Laconia Public Library, offices of the SAU. Action on this item may be taken up under unfinished business this evening as well. I'd like to open the public hearing at 8:32 PM. If anyone would like to speak to this matter, now would be the appropriate time. Just because I'm reading fast doesn't mean I don't want to hear from you, so don't be intimidated. I'd like to close the public hearing on this matter at 8:33 PM. Agenda item number 13C. Petition to accept Hillcrest Drive as a public highway. Notice of this public hearing was made available in the March 27, 2025 edition of Laconia Daily Sun, posted at Laconia City Hall, Laconia Community Center, Laconia Public Library, offices of the SAU. Action on this item may be taken up under unfinished business this evening. I'd like to open the public hearing at 8:33 PM. If you'd like to speak to this matter, now would be the appropriate time. Come right up.
Nothing prepared here, but my name is Dennis Bro. I live on Hillcrest Drive, what would be considered the old section of Hillcrest Drive. I am all in favor of accepting the rest of the street as is, so that what has been since we moved here in '86, wasn't even there. When it was built, everybody assumed it was a city street, and it was supposed to have been bonded. A lot of things were supposed to be done, developer went bankrupt, a lot of things happened. So to come back these many years later and say, well, we made mistakes, now they have to suffer. So accepting it as is, at the minimum, I think is the right thing to do. I always want to make sure that DPW accepts it, that the old section, which hasn't been touched in 20 years, needs to be addressed. There are definitely sections that need to be addressed on that street. So that's all I wanted to make sure.
Thank you very much for having patience and riding it out tonight with us. Anyone else like to speak to this matter? Seeing none, I'd like to close public hearing at 8:34 PM. Finally, on the public hearings, agenda item number 13D, public hearing petition to accept wait, we just did Hillcrest. C. 13D.
Yep.
Might be a little mixed up.
James Avenue was the last one.
Public hearing on a petition to accept Janes Avenue as a public highway. Thank you very much. Notice of this public hearing was made available in the March 27, 2025 edition of Laconia Daily Sun, posted at Laconia City Hall, Laconia Community Center, Laconia Public Library, and the offices of the SAU. Action on this item may be taken up under unfinished business. I'd like to open the public hearing on this matter at 8:35 PM. And if anyone would like to speak to this matter, now would be the appropriate time. Seeing no one, I'd like to close the public hearing at 8:35 PM. We have no presentations. I think I've spoken enough tonight. I'll forego my mayor's report.
Mr. Mayor, we had talked to, I don't know
Oh,
if you wanted to
sure.
move up those two,
Which two? Yeah, I know.
So we're going to pull forward 22D and 22E right now because we are joined by
Legal counsel.
our attorney.
Say 22 D and E.
D and E, and I'm looking for perhaps a motion to table because there are some issues that are still being worked out between the city manager and council.
So moved.
So moved by Councilor Susi on 22D, seconded by Councilor Cheney. Non-debatable. Clerk, would you please call the roll? I think you have to on these, right?
We just scroll down to that section.
Counselor Cheney?
Yes.
Counselor Susi?
Yes.
Counselor Hoffman?
Yes.
Counselor Haynes?
Yes.
Counselor Bogart?
Yes.
Counselor Felch?
Yes.
6 votes in the affirmative, and that motion passes. We're going to move on to agenda item number 22E, motion to table by Councilor Susi, seconded by Councilor Cheney. Ask the clerk to call the roll on 22E.
Counselor Cheney?
Yes.
Counselor Susi?
Yes.
Counselor Hoffman?
Yes.
Counselor Haynes?
Yes.
Counselor Bogart?
Yes.
Counselor Felch?
Yes.
6 votes in the affirmative, that motion passes as well. So let's take 22D off. Thank you, Laura. 22E.
Mr. Mayor, just for the record, I just throw in that we won't, there's not an intent to table this for a long time. We're going to finish up hopefully very quickly with legal counsel and get this back on as soon as possible.
Brilliant. Thank you. Council comments. Any councilors like to make a comment this evening? Councilor Cheney.
Why are people kicking me under the table? Mr. Mayor, very quickly.
Into the microphone too, I guess
I'm
that was the kind of
terribly
the issue
sorry.
tonight.
I spoke to the manager earlier about including something in this year's election to perhaps change the start time from 7 to 6 or 6:30. He tells me that's in the works, and I wanted to thank him for that. The other thing I wanted to mention was the docks are coming along amazingly. I'm really happy to see what's going on. I'd like the manager to put together some language that would prohibit the use of the docks for commercial purposes, because we built those docks for citizens and visitors to use, and I don't want to see it suddenly become a place where commercial boats are coming in and out, taking up the space. So if I could ask the manager to put something together for us, I would appreciate it.
Sure.
Thank you. That's it for me.
Any other council comments? How about liaison reports or committee reports? We've already done citizens' request to comment on current agenda items. Move along to agenda item number 20, which is the city manager's report.
All right, thank you, Mr. Mayor. I only have one document for you tonight, and I'll move relatively quickly through this. Financial and operational trends. I'm just gonna hit a couple of high points. One of them is if you look at the current year that just ended for our building construction, that's 61 million after adjusted, which we take out certain things that don't add to building value. Our number came in at just under 48 million for new building construction for the year. And that's the number that we base our 1/2 of our tax cap ratio on, so, which was up from 33 million last year. It's late. I'm gonna skip through pretty quickly. We don't have any real major changes. On page 38 of your document, motor vehicle registration, you can see we're a little bit ahead of where we would expect to be at this time, so that's good. Bottom of that page, impact fee, those numbers are gonna continue to go up. We have a lot of building going on. I know I say this every time, but we have a couple agenda items tonight on here. We are using those as they're appropriate to be used for capital projects, and it's exactly what they're supposed to be used for. So, and those numbers are gonna continue to go up, even though we're spending money out of it, so. So you'll see a couple more things tonight. TIF, we were asked to put together something as part of we were gonna do it tonight as an update on the TIF a little bit more in depth. We're gonna put it as part of our budget presentation. We do it in there anyhow, so Glenn and I will put something together. We just didn't have time to get it ready for tonight. And the last thing I'm just gonna note is on page 7, or 41, or page 7 of this document. Through March, we were $55,000 short on our winter maintenance. After this little storm, we just had a couple this weekend. We should be able to get a final number of where it was, and then we're going to determine if and how much we have to go back and ask for out of the winter stabilization account. We're not sure. We'll take a look at that a little bit closer, but it was a rough winter, but and they still did pretty good with the numbers. So I just wanted to make sure we pass that along. And other than that, that's all I have. Fastest I've ever done that report, but there you go.
Any questions for the city manager? Seeing none, thank you. Let's move on to new business under agenda item number 21.
All right.
21A, city manager has been investigating the possibility of the city of Laconia becoming the organizer of the city's annual Pumpkin Festival and will report on his findings. And here you are.
Here we go. Would you like an update?
Yes.
All right. So just a couple of weeks ago, we were approached by the Chamber of Commerce, and they said that they had decided that they did not want to move forward with being the event organizers for Pumpkin Fest, and tried to garner our support to see if we were interested. Over the last 2 weeks, myself and my staff have been doing due diligence to determine a couple of things. One, is it fiscally responsible for us to take it over? Can we operationally do it? And then do we have support of the downtown businesses? We've had multiple meetings in the last 2 weeks. I think fiscally, we looked at the expenses and revenues. As long as we continue with certain sponsorships and those type of positive revenue, we're going to be fine financially with this. Operationally, we know we can handle it. We've done it for over 10 years now. And we met the other day. Probably a third of the downtown business owners with it. Weren't all there. Could not have been more supportive of wanting to be part of this. He was somehow on the email list, and Councilor Felch was there to hear all this, so he would back me on that. So my recommendation is 100% that you guys give me the okay to continue moving on as to host and run Pumpkin Festival. My internal committee has been all department heads at this point. Parks and Recreation Director Amy Levisik has been chairing that, and they're running it as though you've already said yes, and we're moving along very well. If you approve this tonight, I will jump ahead, assuming you're going to, but I shouldn't say assume, but assuming you will. We're going to move very quickly, and next Tuesday, April 22nd at 10 a.m., we're going to have a press conference similar to what we did at the train station years ago to kick this off, and we're going to take it and be a transfer of between the chamber and the city. So, and I just want to make one note. The chamber has been outstanding with working with us in these last 2 weeks. Any questions we've asked, any numbers we've been trying, everything, they're fully open. Here you go. What can we do to help? So,
Thank you.
Yeah.
Councilor Susie.
Just one question. When it comes to fiscal and funding or anything else, can we use some of the TIF monies if necessary?
Yeah, I would think so. We're going to look into it. Our hope is they broke even right on almost to the penny the last couple of years. So we're going to create either in this budget or as a supplemental budget, similar to how we do Motorcycle Week, where we have a special revenue account where we have certain money coming in, certain money going out. So we'll figure out all of the revenue pieces. We've looked at that,
Right.
and we're going to look at everything as.
I just want to encourage the committee, let's say, and to make
Glenn's been
this-
part of the committee for
Right,
those reasons right there, so we have.
Bigger and best that we can ever find, okay? And if we have to dip somewhere else to help, I'm all in favor of it. And I think everybody else is too. This is a great thing for the city. We've been pushing for this for a long time. Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Taking nominations for a King of Laconia Pumpkin Week, you know, Bob. Just saying.
I've lost a little weight, so I don't look like the pumpkin anymore.
Pumpkin.
We'll puff you up. We can puff you up.
I would help. I mean, I'm.
Councilor Hoffman.
So why the name change? Was it not the New Hampshire Pumpkin Festival previously?
Yes.
Yeah, we're rebranding. It's ours. We're going to rebrand it, and we have a new logo. When I said they've done a ton, and they have done a ton of work in these last 2 weeks, I'm not joking. I mean, they're moving, and it's just a rebranding thing. New logo, make it ours. That's all.
So maybe WMUR will finally
Councilor
notice it.
Haynes.
Kurt, I think it's a great idea. I think there's a lot of untapped talent out there, especially citizens that want to help, that want to make it 100% successful. And I think if they can take advantage of that, there's a lot of people that would.
100% agree. These last 2 weeks have been with department heads and a small group of the department heads who would be taking an active role in it. We've opened it up to any of our employees that want to be part of it, and eventually it's going to open up to citizens and whoever has ideas. Because again, it's the city of Laconia's, it's everybody's, and we want to make sure, hopefully everybody's heard.
Fair enough, good, thank you, Mayor.
Councilor Felch.
So, as liaison for TIF, I can tell you that they're already looking at things that they can do.
I just want to make sure, Tony, nothing holds them back.
Oh, I know,
That's
and
what that's
they're
where I'm
all
at.
for it, so they're
Okay.
already looking
All right.
at things.
Looking for a motion to move to approve the city of Laconia becoming a primary organizer for the Laconia Pumpkin Festival, Laconia Pumpkin Festival, beginning in 2025. So made by Councilor Susie, seconded by Councilor Felch. Is there any further discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor, please indicate by raising your hands. 6 votes in the affirmative, and that motion passes. Agenda item number 21B. Kirk, why don't you walk us through this briefly?
Let's see what this one is. Oh, here we go. So I have the planning department here with us if we have any questions. This is gonna be we're requesting to send to a public hearing. The property up on Blueberry Lane, 35 Blueberry Lane, the old Bean Conference Center, it's going to be purchased for residential apartments. It's not zoned properly for that. They're looking to move the zoning line. It's one property over. It's literally just adding this property to that. It'll match what the rest of Blueberry Lane looks like as far as residential apartments. It's already gone through planning board. They've approved this to send to you, and we're looking to set a public hearing. We have to do public hearings both at planning and here. So now we're looking at the public input here, and hopefully just move the residential zone to include this so they can have their residential apartments there.
Okay, so it's a series of 3 motions on this. The first is a motion to move to waive reading of the ordinance 2025-235-15 in its entirety and to read by title only. So made by Counselor Cheney, seconded by Counselor Hoffman. Any further discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor, please indicate by raising your hand. 6 votes in the affirmative. That motion passes. Next, looking for a motion to move a first reading of ordinance 2025-235-15, amending Chapter 235 zoning, Article 3 districts, zoning map, Sections 235-15, official zoning map, and Attachment 1, table of zoning map amendments. So made by Counselor Hoffman, seconded by Counselor Haynes. Is there any further discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor, please indicate by raising your hand. 6 votes in the affirmative, and that motion passes. Finally, on this matter, looking for a motion to move to schedule a public hearing on April 28th, 2025, during the regular city council meeting to gather input prior to adoption. So made by Counselor Haynes, seconded by Counselor Hoffman. Is there any further discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor, please indicate by raising your hands. 6 votes in the affirmative, and that motion passes. Item number 21C, temporary traffic order, Love Our Earth Day. Love Our Earth Day is being held May 10th, 2025, from 10 a.m. to 1 p.m. at the Congregational Church of Laconia. This event is to raise awareness and provide information to the public about the Lakes Region Conservation Environmental Organization's efforts regarding issues of local concern and to offer suggestions for free citizen participation to mitigate those issues. This event is not only free to the community, but the participating organizations as well. Sponsorship money is being used to purchase a banner, pay for the printing of the flyers, and to provide a popcorn machine. Popcorn and cookies will be provided at no charge. The Love Our Earth Day organizers are requesting a waiver of the special events and licensing fees. The special events fee would be $200, the licensing fee would be $225. I will point out on the traffic order, paragraph 3, which is actually listed as 2. It says Church Street. It's actually Veteran Square.
Church Street is the legal street that goes through there.
It is, but it's,
They're listed, their address is Veteran Square, so we just want to list it as their correct address.
yep. So you want to,
Their address is Veteran Square, so I want that to say Veteran Square on this,
okay,
in front of their building.
okay.
I know I had to do an accident there once in Church Street.
So right now, I'm looking for, so the staff recommends the approval of temporary traffic order. Right now, I'm looking for a motion to move to approve temporary traffic order 2025-04, Love Our Earth Day, and to waive special events and licensing fees in connection with this event as presented. So made by Counselor Haynes, seconded by Counselor Felch. Is there any further discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor, please indicate by raising your hand. 6 votes in the affirmative, and that motion passes. Moving right along to number 21D, which is a request to use impact fees funds in an amount not to exceed $13,000 to construct a roof over the community room entrance to the Laconia Fire Department Central Station. Kirk?
Yeah, this was, it's a project that should have been done years ago. The back stairwell that goes into the community center, EOC, has a drain. It does not keep up with heavy rains. A rain roof over that, we did priced it out a long time ago, and finally, Chief Joubert is looking to get this done. He has the quote, so we're looking to use impact fees out of that. In the impact fees, it shows here the ending balance of just under 10,000. I talked about there was more money put in. It's actually going to put them at about 19,000 ending balance. So you see that we're trying to use some of that money that's been put in there.
Terrific. Right now, go ahead.
Question, please. I thought we had already approved this at one time.
No. We might have talked about it, but I think actually we talked about it. Councilor Cheney brought it up. There was never a motion and a vote to do anything with it.
Thank you.
Yep.
Right now, looking for a motion to move to approve the use of impact fee funds in an amount not to exceed $13,000 to construct a roof over the community room entrance at the Laconia Fire Department Central Station. So made by Counselor Cheney, seconded by Counselor Felch. Is there any further discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor, please indicate by raising your hand. 6 votes in the affirmative, that motion passes. Moving on to agenda item number 21A, request to use impact fee funds in the amount not to exceed $12,000 for the Gale Memorial Library's 20-year sprinkler inspection. Laconia Public Library is requesting the use of impact fees in an amount not to exceed $12,000 for the Gale Memorial Library's 20-year inspection. Approval of this request will reduce the amount of impact fees available to the library by up to $12,000, leaving a balance of $18,923.48. Deanne Hunter, Library Director, recommends the use of this request. The motion we're looking for right now is a motion to move to approve the use of impact fee funds in an amount not to exceed $13,000 to conduct the Gale Memorial Library 20-year fire sprinkler inspection and to make any upgrades as needed following the inspection. So made by Counselor Hoffman, seconded by Counselor Susie. It's been amended.
Updated, okay, thank
It's
you.
an amendment, yes. So don't pay attention to the motion, the proposed motion in your packet, that's incorrect, but the one I read is the correct one. So, motion was made by Counselor Hoffman, seconded by Counselor Felch. Any discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor, please indicate by raising your hands. 6 votes in the affirmative, that motion passes. Item number 21F. Request to renew the Robert A. Hamill Community Service Recognition Award Committee. In September 2024, Laconia City Council created, thanks to Councilor Haynes, if I do say so, the Community Service Recognition Award Committee. By unanimous vote, the award was named in honor of Robert A. Bob Hamill, our colleague and friend, for his dedication and service to his beloved city of Laconia. The committee is to be appointed annually by the mayor and council. The attached resolution establishing the committee was approved by the council on our November 12, 2024 meeting. The committee currently consists of Councilor Haynes, Councilor Felch, City Clerk Katie Gargano, Parks and Recreation Director Amy Lovisic, Matt Souza, Becky Geyer, and Tara Shore. The award is to be presented annually in June. The committee wishes to meet again to discuss a recipient of this award and determine a gift to be presented. Council rules state that special committees created by the mayor sunset at the end of each calendar year unless they are renewed. Right now, I'll be looking for a motion to renew the Robert A. Hamill Community Service Recognition Award as requested. So made by Counselor Haynes, seconded by Counselor Felch. Is there any further discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor, please indicate by raising your hands. 6 votes in the affirmative, and that motion passes. Item number 21G, acceptance of a donation and installation of a flagpole from the Bank of New Hampshire. The Bank of New Hampshire has generously offered to donate, install, and maintain a new flagpole to replace the one currently located on the island of Veterans Square. The bank has received the attached quote for the purchase and installation of the flagpole. There is no cost to the city. Staff recommends moving acceptance of this donation to a public hearing on April 28th. So it's a series of 3 motions. The first is to move a waiver reading of Resolution 2024-14 in its entirety, read by title only. So made by Counselor Cheney, seconded by Counselor Hoffman. Is there any further discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor, please indicate by raising your hands. 6 votes in the affirmative, that motion passes. Next, I'm looking for a motion to move a first reading of Resolution 2025-14, acceptance of a donation, installation, and maintenance of a flagpole from Bank of New Hampshire. So made by Counselor Hoffman, seconded by Counselor Haynes. Is there any further discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor, please indicate by raising your hands. 6 votes in the affirmative. Finally, on this matter, looking for a motion to move to schedule a public hearing on April 28th, 2025 during the regular city council meeting to gather public input prior to any action being taken. So made by Counselor Haynes, seconded by Counselor Felch. Is there any further discussion?
I have a question.
Yes, sir.
Okay, it goes back to the second motion where it
Yes,
says
sir.
installation and maintenance. Is the maintenance just of the flagpole of the grounds around it?
It's just for the flag?
No,
It's for everything?
they actually maintain that little island, and they'll continue to do so.
That's great.
Yep.
And then, I want to get in the flagpole business. This is one of.
All right. Any further discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor, please indicate by raising your hands. Oh, you have a question?
Yeah, I just want
Sorry about
to know if this includes lighting for the flag. I don't need to know until.
Yeah, we'll make sure. I would assume it does. I think there's already lighting over there now, so we'll.
I just wanna
we'll
make
make
sure.
Yep, we'll make sure.
Okay. All those in favor, please indicate by raising your hand. 6 votes in the affirmative, that motion passes. Agenda item number 21H, proposed changes to the City Council Rules of Procedure at the March 10th, 2025 City Council meeting. Council Cheney raised concerns with the language contained in the City Council Rules of Procedure at a Government Operations and Ordinances meeting on March 27th. The motion was approved to make the changes as recommended by the City Manager and bring them forth to the full City Council. City Manager Beata will present the proposed changes to the Rules of Procedure during this meeting. He's already done that earlier this evening at our prior meeting. Staff recommends reviewing and approving the proposed changes to the Rules of Procedure as presented. I'll look to Counselor. Would you like to review these before you vote on it?
I was gonna ask,
Okay.
could we table this?
Second.
To give just a little more.
Counselor Cheney has made a motion to table, seconded by Counselor Susie. That's non-debatable. Ask the clerk to call the roll.
Counselor Cheney?
Yes.
Counselor Susie?
Yes.
Counselor Hoffman?
Yes.
Counselor Haynes?
Yes.
Counselor Bogart?
Yes.
Counselor Felch?
Yes.
6 votes in the affirmative, that motion is tabled. On to number 21I, request to approve a collective bargaining agreement with Laconia Police Commission and Laconia Police Officers Association. The City Council met in a non-public meeting earlier this evening to review the collective bargaining agreement with the Laconia Police Commission and the Laconia Police Officers Association. The first year increase of the contract is $228,088, which includes $123,938 for COLAs and steps for union personnel. $75,000 of that amount accounts for retention bonuses which expire at the end of the contract, do not carry forward into a new contract unless negotiated as such. Kirk Beatty, City Manager, recommends the approval of this collective bargaining agreement. Right now, I'm looking for a motion to approve the collective bargaining agreement with Laconia Police Commission and the Laconia Police Officers Association for the period from July 1st, 2025 through June 30th, 2028. So made by Councilor Cheney, seconded by Councilor Felch. Is there any discussion on this matter? Seeing none, all those in favor, please indicate by raising your hand. 6 votes in the affirmative, and that motion passes. Moving on to agenda item number 21J. Request to approve a collective bargaining agreement with Laconia Firefighters Union Local 1153. The City Council met in a non-public meeting earlier this evening to review the collective bargaining agreement between the Laconia Firefighters Union Local 1153. The first year increase of the contract is $219,152.13, which includes COLA and steps and an 11.
We can cross that second piece out. It's just the number on the top is what we're gonna go with.
Staff recommends approval of the collective bargaining agreement. Looking right now for a motion to approve the collective bargaining agreement with Laconia Firefighters Union Local 1153 for the period of July 1st, 2025 through June 30th, 2028. So made by Councilor Haynes, seconded by Councilor Felch. Is there any further discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor, please indicate by raising your hands. 21K is off. We're moving on to unfinished business under number 22A. This is a temporary traffic order, 2025-03, Lakes Region Community College graduation on Canal Street. Kirk, could you just walk us through that for a second?
Yep.
Give my throat a break.
Yep, nope, this was, first, it'll need a removal from the table, before you guys take any action on this. This was asked to send the community college back to the businesses. They went and met with them. They didn't seem to get any pushback, from what we've been told, and my office has received no complaints, about them doing this, so that's as best as we can
Okay.
tell at this point. I think it's ready to move
Due
forward. and-
diligence on the city's part is complete.
Correct.
All right?
Off the table.
Councilor Susie made a motion to take it off the table, seconded by Councilor Cheney. All those in favor, please indicate by raising your hand. 6 votes in the affirmative, it's off the table. So right now, I'll be looking for a motion to move to approve temporary traffic order 2503 for closure of Canal Street in connection with the Lakes Region Community College graduation as presented. So made by Councilor Cheney, seconded by Councilor Susie. Is there any further discussion? Councilor Felch.
I'd just like to say that I have spoke with some of the businesses, and they are okay with it, so.
That's great. Thank you for sharing that. If there's not any other discussion, if you're in favor of this, raise your hands. 6 votes in the affirmative, and that motion passes. Agenda item 22B. Ordinance 2025-221-41, amending Article 4, Regulations for Parking Meters, Chapter 221, Vehicles and Traffic Extension Time Limits and Extension Fee for the Weirs Beach City Parking Areas when using an app to pay for the parking. Kirk, could you just walk us through that briefly?
I'll just go right to the bottom there. You'll see the staff recommendation. What this changes, it allows you, if you're using the app, to add 1 hour time frame to their parking at a rate of, instead of $2, it'd be $3 for that hour. That's what this whole vote is on.
Brilliant. All right.
We add parking meters to the dock.
Series of 3 motions. The first one is to move a waiver reading of ordinance 2025-221-41 in its entirety and read by title only. So made by Councilor Cheney, second by Councilor Haynes. Is there any further discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor, please indicate by raising your hand. 6 votes in the affirmative, that motion passes. Next, looking for a motion to move a second reading of ordinance 2025-221-41, amending Article 4, Regulations of Parking Meters, Chapter 221, Vehicles and Traffic. So made by Councilor Cheney, seconded by Councilor Felch. Is there any further discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor, please indicate by raising your hands. 6 votes in the affirmative, that motion passes. Finally, on this matter, looking for a motion to approve ordinance 2025-221-41, amending Article 4, Regulations for Parking Meters, Chapter 221, Vehicles and Traffic. So made by Councilor Hoffman, seconded by Councilor Haynes. Is there any further discussion? Councilor Bogart.
Is there a fee we have to, that is extracted for using the app?
Wes would have that answer.
The way we have it set up, the person who's paying for it pays the fee to the company that does the app. So it's a convenience fee. The driver pays for it.
Doesn't cost us anything.
If there are no further questions, all those in favor of the motion, please indicate by raising your hand. 6 votes in the affirmative, that motion passes. Let's see, agenda item number 22C, resolution 2025-10, acceptance of a USDA rural development grant in the amount of $96,250 to help fund the design and construction of a critical evidence and equipment storage facility project. We've talked about this a couple of times right now. It is Captain Grayton of the Laconia Police Department recommends the city approve the resolution as presented.
If I'll just make a comment on that, you have talked about this a couple times. It's a couple different pots of money that have been added together to this. So there's actually some different money that's been coming in.
Would you like me to read through this to clarify it?
No, I don't.
Oh, okay.
You had said we've talked about this in the past. I just wanted to throw out that there's different pots of money that's.
It's a donation,
Yeah,
if I remember
yeah. There's
right.
different things. Yeah, there's
Right.
different ways of money.
Terrific. Right now, we're looking for a motion to move waiver reading of resolution 2025-10 in its entirety, read by title only. So made by Councilor Cheney, seconded by Councilor Susie. Is there any further discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor, please indicate by raising your hands. 6 votes in the affirmative, that motion passes. Next on this matter, I'm looking for a motion to move a second reading of resolution 2025-10 relating to acceptance of a USDA Rural Development Grant Community Project funding in the amount of $96,250 to help fund the design and construction of a critical evidence equipment storage facility project. So made by Councilor Cheney, seconded by Councilor Susie. Any further discussion on this matter? Is there further discussion? No?
No,
Okay,
sorry.
gotcha. If you're in favor, raise your hands. 6 votes in the affirmative, that motion passes. Finally, on this matter, looking for a motion to approve resolution 2025-10 relating to the acceptance of a USDA Rural Development Grant Community Project funding in the amount of $96,250 to help fund the design and construction of a critical evidence and equipment storage facility project as presented, and authorize city manager to sign all documents related to this matter. So made by Councilor Susie, seconded by Councilor Cheney. Is there any further discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor, please indicate by raising your hand. 6 votes in the affirmative, and that motion passes. 22D has already been addressed. 22E has already been addressed. 22F, request to release the parking kiosk reserves fund.